Welcome back to the Tracy Take. Today, Ryan and I will be previewing the Week 14 Thursday night football matchup between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Minnesota Vikings. But before we get into that, make sure you subscribe to our channel if you have not already. Ryan and I, we have a goal of getting to 300 subscribers, so any help is much appreciated between Ryan and I. Like this video, comment on this video, hit that notification bell so you can see when we create new content. And Ryan, let's get into it.
Let's do it.
This is really interesting because both teams are coming in off of two totally different Week 13 results and feelings. Pittsburgh Steelers feel like they stole a win against the AFC North division leaders right now, the Baltimore Ravens, while the Vikings were shocked by the Detroit Lions as Detroit got their first win against Minnesota. And it's funny, too, because going into Week 13, I would have thought, and I think you would have thought the same, Ravens are going to win. Steelers are going to be out of the playoffs. Vikings are easily going to win, help promoting, help pushing themselves into that playoff spot and solidifying it. And now it could be more opposite from that. Pittsburgh Steelers now have a much better chance to make the playoffs. Still some work to do, obviously, in a tough AFC. While the Vikings in the NFC, it shouldn't be hard to get into the playoff spot, and yet they just are now 2 games below 500 and now are competing with so many teams that are not worthy of being in the playoffs, my team included, in the Falcons. So what do you think both teams have to do to come out with a victory on Thursday night?
Well, I think the Steelers might have an easier path to victory than the Vikings because I think both teams have to stop the passing game for the other team. And I think right now the Steelers really only have to worry about Justin Jefferson. Adam Thielen looked like he got hurt this past week.
Sprained his ankle.
Is already out. Or not, he's not already out, but separated shoulder, torn labrum. It's a little bit not looking good for Dalvin Cook to play.
They confirmed last week that he would miss at least 2 weeks. So he is out for the Steelers game.
Yeah, so they confirmed that, and then Mike Zimmer came out and said that he was day-to-day. So it's a contradictory stuff, but it does not sound like he's going to play. And again, Adam Thielen got hurt, so they really have to take away Justin Jefferson. Kirk Cousins is having a fantastic season. If the Vikings make a couple field goals and other teams miss a couple field goals, I think Kirk Cousins might be actually leading the MVP conversation with the year that he's having. I know that's kind of crazy to say, but statistically, he is a top 5 quarterback in the league this year. And on the flip side, I think Minnesota's defense has really struggled against the pass the last few weeks. Deebo Samuel lit him up 2 weeks ago, and then Amon-Ra St. Brown, the rookie wide receiver for the Detroit Lions, lit him up this week. And it's looking to me like the Steelers have an edge. Just because I think they have more offensive weapons with Chase Claypool, Deontay Johnson, Pat Fryermuth really coming on. And an underrated guy in the passing game is Najee Harris. He's been really good for them in the passing game, receiving out of the backfield. And they really like him down there. So,
well, and I'll expand a little bit on what you're saying on, yes, Deebo Samuel did burn the Vikings defense a bunch, but he actually did it on the ground game. I think he only had 1 catch that game, but he had about 100 yards rushing in that game. And that to me is the biggest, is going to be the biggest factor because the Vikings run defense is ranked 29th overall, 131.5 yards allowed per game. While Pittsburgh Steelers run offense is also ranked 29th, which is 86.9 rushing offensive yards per game. So whoever wins that battle, in my opinion, is going to end up winning this game. Because I do agree with you, Adam Thielen is most likely not going to play with a sprained ankle, or if he is, he's going to be limited. I don't think he's going to have that big of an impact. As the week progresses, we'll see more about that injury. But if the Vikings are able to stop the run, make Pittsburgh more one-dimensional, they can cover up Deontay Johnson. And as you said, they do have other weapons, but I think Minnesota just still might have a little too much firepower because they're able to run the ball fairly well, even with Alexander Mattison in the backfield. Because the Pittsburgh run defense, even though they shut down Lamar Jackson and the run company today to only 100 yards and some change, they have given up a lot of games. they've given up a lot of rushing yards to one player in a lot of games. When they played the
Yeah.
Bengals last week, Joe Mixon had I think 130 something yards. I think when they played Seattle a couple weeks before that, Alex Collins had an over 100 rushing yard game. So this run defense is very inconsistent, and when it has not been good, they have given up a lot of yards. I think a
Yeah.
short week on the road, I think Alexander Madison might have a game, which is going to open up the game for Justin Jefferson, who is almost guaranteed now like 150 receiving yards. The dude's just an
Yeah.
absolute beast. He's the receiver of the year, in my opinion, and
Oh yeah.
really helping out Kirk Cousins as
Mhm.
well during this great season he's having.
Yeah. I So I agree with you. I think the Vikings are going to have a day on the ground, but I think if they let Alexander Madison run for 150 yards and a touchdown, I think that plays right into the Steelers' hands because I think the Steelers are going to be able to put up points on the Vikings, and I just don't think that the Vikings are going to be able to run the football the whole time. I think one of the best defenses against the run this year, and the Patriots have done this to a lot of teams that are good at running the football, uh,
Mm-hmm.
is just get a lead. At a certain point, you have to throw it. And at that point, the Steelers, with Minka Fitzpatrick and a pretty good secondary, can just kind of drop back, let those pass rushers pin their ears back, and get after it. And
Yeah.
I think that's how they're gonna approach this game. I think they have the wide receivers to get up. Uh, the Vikings pass rush has not been any good since Danielle Hunter went out.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I don't see anybody on that back end that can really stop uh, kind of that three-headed monster that they have that's growing in Pittsburgh in Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, and Pat Fryermuth. So
Yeah. No, and that's a really good point too. They do have a lot of options to throw to, and Ben Roethlisberger has definitely come up and it started to improve over the past couple of games. My one thing though, I think, has just been the consistency of this offense, similar to just kind of the consistency of the Steelers' run defense. Yes, they beat the Ravens today, but they only put up 20 points against
mhm.
I would say, a fairly weak pass defense. They didn't put up. They only put up 10 points against the Bengals the week before, which was also a weak pass defense. Every time they've been on the road, it seems like the offense just hasn't really like joined together. So that's what I'm saying. On a shortened week,
Yeah,
going into Minnesota, I'm curious at how they're going to play and how they're going
yeah.
to
I,
kind
I
of
will
come in against
say,
this team.
even tonight we're recording on Sunday night, so I will say they should have lost to the Ravens. Lamar Jackson missed a few throws,
Hmm.
including the 2-point conversion throw that this defense left open.
Yeah.
Multiple seam routes for Mark Andrews were left open. Uh, and I mean, you have to imagine, especially coming on a short week, not a whole lot of defensive adjustments are going to be made. And I think a lot of those seam routes for Irv Smith Jr., I know they have another tight end whose name is blanking on
Tyler
me now.
Conklin.
Tyler Conklin, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think those guys are going to play a big impact in this game because I think they're going to double Justin Jefferson. Granted, I don't know how much that will really help. I think he's just too good,
Yeah.
and he'll beat a double team. Um, but man, I think this one kind of plays right into the hands of the Steelers. And lastly, I want to touch on uh, you talking about the run game and how you think that is very important. I agree with you. I think stopping the run game is very important. Make the Steelers offense one dimensional. But sometimes what uh, the Steelers like to do is kind of do what your I guess patented term is run the ball through the air. Just
Hmm.
suck those safeties up by just throwing the ball 2 yards down the field. Like and then
Yeah.
letting your receivers create. That's what they did to the Ravens, giving the ball to Chase Claypool, Deontay Johnson, and Najee Harris, and just letting them just create. And I think that's going to be the death of the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
So
and that's a really good point too. And honestly, kind of with I would say going into this video, I was thinking that Minnesota would win this one somewhat handily. I think that they're a little bit a little bit better talent wise, but given the credit to Mike Tomlin, and I think he might be a little bit of a better coach than Mike Zimmer. Um, I don't know. I'm honestly thinking it's going to be a tighter game than what it is already going to be. Um,
Hmm.
I still would. I'm still going to lean towards Minnesota, but I think it's going to be a lower scoring game because I think
Yeah.
with the weaknesses really with both run defenses, I think there's going to be a lot of runs going on. But you also have a good point though too with how Pittsburgh kind of manufactures drives. Uh,
Hmm.
Playing to their strengths and to their opponent's weaknesses. I think it's going to be a close game. I still think Minnesota is going to win this one. I think it's going to be something like a 20 to 17 type game. And I say that only really because the Steelers, they haven't really offensively, they're only averaging 20 points a game. And defensively, they're giving up 24 points a game. So actually, you know what? I'm going to change. I think that's going to be the final score. I think it's going to be 24-20 Minnesota. I think
Okay.
that's actually a
So
better representation. I think how the game is going to go.
yeah. So you're taking Minnesota with the spread on the under because it's a
Yes.
45
Hmm.
point over under with a 3.5 point spread at the moment.
I guess in this
I
instance, yeah, I would take that.
yeah. I I think this game plays right into the Steelers' hands. I think they have a
Hmm.
weak offensive line, but the Vikings have a weak defensive line. Uh, the Vikings want to take away the run. I think that's actually kind of okay with the Steelers because then they can just, like you say, run the ball through the air. I'm going to pick
Yeah.
the Steelers. I just don't think the Vikings are going to have a high morale on a short week coming off a loss to the Detroit Lions. Um, I am going to go with the Steelers at, I'm going to say 27-20. I think the
Okay.
Steelers, I don't want to say handle the Vikings easily, but
Yeah.
I just think they might have an easier time on offense than the Vikings
Yeah.
will, missing those two crucial pieces in Adam Thielen and
Yeah.
Dalvin Cook. So
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I see what you're saying about the morale thing, but I think if there's anyone that's going to be more motivated coming into this game, I mean, well, I mean, it's
yeah,
not saying the Steelers are
it
not
could
going
it
to
could light a
be,
fire under them.
but the Vikings though it is now crunch time for them. Like they have to win. They have to win.
Yeah,
The
well,
Steelers, and obviously the Steelers don't have to win as well. If they lose, then they're back to 500 in a very tight AFC.
whoever loses this game, I think, is out of the playoffs. I think both of these
Well,
teams are on
not if the Steelers.
that cusp of the
The
playoff
Steelers.
hunt.
Yeah, the AFC division, the AFC North division, though, is still up for grabs. Because they still have a lot of division games left against, I think, the Bengals, Browns, and the Ravens as well. They have one more against the Ravens. So there is still opportunity for the
Yeah,
Steelers. If we're talking about
it,
who needs
they're
this win more.
I agree with you. I think the Vikings need it more, but if the Steelers lose this game, they have to win the next 4 games. They have to win out
Hmm.
because if
Yeah.
they lose this game, they can't. If they lose this game, the highest they can get is 10 wins, and you have to have 10 wins to
Hmm.
get into the playoffs in the AFC, or else you're not going to get
Yeah.
there. So
Okay.
for me, I think I agree. This is more important for the Vikings, but both teams are playing for their season in this one.
Oh yeah, yeah, oh, yeah, yeah. I'm not denying that, but I'm just saying if you're looking at opportunities, it's not like the AFC
Mhm.
North is a done deal like how the
Oh no,
NFC North is.
yeah, but if the Steelers lose, that puts them at 3 games back from the Ravens with 4 to play.
Not 3 games,
Yeah, because the
two and a
Ravens are eight
half.
and four, and the Steelers would be. Oh
Be
yeah, two
six
and a
and
half.
six. Yeah, six
Yeah,
and one. Yeah,
sorry, I thought they were six
still
and
some
six already.
opportunity.
Yeah,
Nah, yeah, that tie game's weird.
yeah. So, but again, I think this is a crucial game for both teams, and I'm really excited to watch this one. I think this is two teams that need a win. So, but other than
Hmm.
that, I think that's going to do it for this episode of the Tracy Take. We're going to wrap it up right here. Let us know down in the comments on who you think is going to win this one. Make sure to like and subscribe and hit that bell notification so we can send you a video just like this one every time we make it. And I think that's going to do it. Thank you guys for making it this far, and we will see you next time.